Hello, guys. Hey, YouTube. Hey, loves. How are you all? Happy Tuesday. We are always live on Tuesdays. It is a rainy Tuesday right now in Las Vegas. Very rainy Tuesday, which I love. I love the rain. I think when I was younger, I always used to love the rain. Hello, guys. Okay, it's working. I always used to love the rain because I was depressed and it always felt like it matched my mood. So I've always loved the rain, and my son loves the rain too. So I don't know if that's foreboding or not, but no, I don't think you have to be depressed to like the rain. I like the sun too, but it's a beautiful rainy day in Las Vegas. And today I'm going to be talking about some of my biggest learnings from my experience with breast cancer and cancer treatment. So if you're jumping on, say hi. Whether you're watching live or on the replay, let me know. I'm going to pull up the chat so I can see you guys. And hit that like button if you don't mind. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Hit that like button while you're on. Say hi and smash the like button so that the ever-changing, all-knowing algorithm will shine light on us and all the favorable things will happen. So thank you guys so much for joining me. My name is Lily Newhouse. I'm a mindset and manifestation coach for poker pros and CEOs, entrepreneurs in business online. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about my cancer experience and some of the things that I learned going through it. I think at the time, I didn't realize the lessons that I was learning. Some of them I did, and some of them it took a little while for those takeaways to kind of land. And some of the things also that I learned, it took a while for me to be able to integrate them into my life, so it's one thing to learn something cognitively, and it's another thing entirely to be able to implement it in our life or our business. So if you're jumping on, let me know where you are watching from. Are you in rainy Las Vegas? Are you somewhere else? Let me know. That's always a fun game to play. So when I was first diagnosed, so I guess I'll give you just a little bit of backstory before I tell you my biggest learnings, because maybe some of you don't know my story. Hi, Damon with the pink wave. Hello, how are you? Thank you for watching. How's the rain over by your house? Is it raining over there? Let me know. I need to know all of the geography of the rain today. I'm so into it. I'm happy it's raining. Can you tell? So I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. I'm in Boise right now. Long story. Okay, awesome, perfect. Well, good luck in Boise. Hope the weather is nice. So when I was diagnosed, I found a lump actually. Found it on my own in the shower, like wasn't doing regular exams, anything like that, just got lucky and found it in the beginning of 2018. Was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer in April of 2018 and immediately started the chemo regimen for triple negative, which is 16 rounds of different chemo drugs, and then surgery after the fact. I decided to do a double mastectomy and reconstruction because for me, I felt that I didn't want to give this shit a chance to ever come back. So lumpectomy was not the right decision for me. I was like, I want to get this out, and give me my best odds. So, hey, Sarah, thank you so much for joining. How are you today, Sarah? What's the weather like where you are today? Tell me. So I did the double mastectomy with reconstructive surgery. So went through all of that, ended up very, very lucky not having to have radiation, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I think this is sort of one of the things, honestly, that comes out of it is one of the big lessons was looking for silver linings. And there were a lot of things to be grateful for through my cancer journey. Just a lot of of things that I was really, really lucky for in terms of my diagnosis, in terms of the treatment I was able to get access to, in terms of where the tumor was, and all of the things. You know, I just got really, really lucky in a lot of ways. And I think that's sort of one of the things is like, I found that when I compared myself to other cancer patients, I felt really lucky. But when I compared myself to, for example, like my sisters, all of whom, you know, have the same genetics of me, and none of whom had the genetic predisposition for breast cancer, then I felt really like unlucky, like why me? You know, so it was really looking for those silver linings, and part of that is, who are we comparing ourselves to? You know, Sarah says it's actually sunny, about 50 degrees. Nice. Very interested in your cancer journey, though. Many folks I know going through this right now. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I missed you yesterday in the call. My mom fell. She's okay, just bruised. I'm so sorry. Please give your mom our love. Tell her that we send all the healing love and vibes. Yeah, there's a lot of people in my periphery who are either going through cancer or people whose friends are going through cancer. And I think that was one of my really, I would say if I had like one biggest lesson with getting through cancer, it was finding the good, looking for the silver linings, you know, because that was really a way to frame it in an empowering way. Because I guess when we take responsibility for something, then that gives us empowerment, right? As cancer patients, we are victims of something, right? And in order to not behave like a victim, we have to find places where we can take our power back. We don't have the power to decide what happens to us. We don't have the power to decide, you know, what appointments we go to, what treatments we get, what surgeries we get, but we do have the power to shape our own perspective of what's happening, right? And part of that is gratitude, finding the things that we can be grateful for. I think the harder our circumstances are, the harder we have to work to look for those things that make us lucky, those things to be grateful for, because it can provide us the ability, the emotional fuel to get through it. And I think just to make our experience a little bit better, even if it can't make the experience good, right? I was in a group therapy today, and we were talking about how sometimes when we don't feel good, like when we're depressed or whatever, we want to feel better. And so we ignore the fact that there are things we could do to just move the needle a little bit and feel a little better, because we have that black and white thinking of, oh, like I want to be all better, right? No one's going to be able to make cancer better. No one's going to be able to make cancer treatment not suck. That's just a fact. You know, for me, it was a fact. No one, at least I can't tell, you know, maybe won't suck for everyone, but it sucked for me. And no one would have been able to change that. But we can make our experience a little better or a little worse, depending on what we do and how we perceive it, and whether or not we take responsibility for our perspective on what's happening to us, right? So looking for silver linings, for me, someone gave me this book called The Silver Lining or Silver Linings when I first started, right before treatment, or when I first started treatment. It was incredibly helpful. And that was one of the things that it talked about, was like looking for silver linings. And I found that to be really true. Another thing that I learned that it's interesting, because I think the reason I'm laughing is because I'm like learning it again right now, like experientially really having to learn it again. So when I say like I learned these things, it doesn't mean that I've conquered them and I'm perfect at them and I never have to practice them again or go back through them again. You know, that's kind of the funny thing, is like, I think that lessons can be cyclical sometimes, and we have to keep working to master these things. So like the second thing that was a big learning for me was surrendering to the process. And it's funny because that's why I'm laughing, is because like that's something I'm really having to do right now with my health, is surrender to the process of recovering and of getting healthier. And it's like we have this desire to fight the things that we don't want. And when we fight the things that we don't want, we make them worse, but they don't go away. So like willfully fighting against what is, it just causes ourselves suffering to be compounded on top of the pain that we are already feeling, right? So it's like the pain might be struggling through cancer treatment. The suffering is compounding it by asking ourselves, why me? Or, fighting ourselves every time we have to go to an appointment or something like that. That's something that I struggle with a lot, is like really fighting against having to go to appointments, having to go to scans, stuff like that. I struggle with it now. But when I was going through cancer, I was able to surrender at the beginning and kind of make a unilateral decision that throughout this process, I'm just going to do my job. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do what the doctors tell me to do. That is my job from now until the time they tell me that I am cancer-free, I am healed, I am done, I can move on with my life. My job is to go to the appointments and to do the things that I'm told to do. And so when I surrendered to that state of being, when I surrendered to that and accepted that that was true, that that was my reality, it allowed me to avoid the pain of fighting myself every time I had to go to chemo. Because if I had to convince myself to go every time, I don't know if I ever could have done it. But because I had decided in the beginning, Lily, you go, you do the thing. This is your job. This is what you do. Surrender, accept, and move, then I was able to just do it. Right. And I was like, okay, this is my job. Okay, this is my job. Just do the thing, do the thing. Like your job is to be the patient and go do the things, and it's something that like I think I'm like a tough one to break, because sometimes it takes me a long time to surrender and accept the state of things. I went through that a lot, again, with my dad's death, of like surrendering and accepting the fact that he was gone took me 1.5 to 2 years, whatever, something along the, like I say, 1.5 or something like that. And to now where I am in a place of acceptance, but you don't just get to hang out in acceptance. The grief is cyclical too. It comes back and you go back into denial, or you go back into anger, or you go back into, whatever it is. But surrendering to what is, and, surrendering to the process, letting go of what we can't control and doing our job is the answer in some of these situations. Another lesson that I gained from it was that finding the lessons was the most important part. So I realized that this experience was truly awful in and of itself, and that I had to find some way to make it worth it, because otherwise it would just be taking from me, and so like if the cancer takes from you, it takes body parts from you, it takes time from you, it takes your peace of mind, right? It takes so much of your future away from you in terms of what you're going to have to do. For a lot of people, there's ongoing treatments and stuff like that. It takes so much away from you. Like the biggest thing being time. For me, like I guess, 1.5 or so of my life was just spent just doing this thing. And my whole family basically spent that 1.5 doing that thing too, because like I had a child, and so everyone came and supported and helped and took care of me and stuff like that. So the biggest thing, anyway, it took a lot away. And hard things do that to us. Some of these experiences take a lot from us. And I think the biggest thing that we can gain is finding what we can learn so that it wasn't awful for no reason. And that's something that I really tried to focus on, was this is really shitty, and I acknowledge that this is shitty, and I've accepted that this is just shit, and I'm surrendering to it, and I'm gonna do it. But like, what can I learn so that I don't have to have this lesson taught to me some other way? How can I make this experience worth it? And one of the things that I found that I really tried to work on during that time too was finding value in myself outside of my appearance. And that's something that I think we probably more so for women go through over and over in our lives, is trying to find the value inside of us that's not just our appearance, right? And I think that was an experience for me where it was interesting, because when I was diagnosed, I was 32, and used to like people flirting with me, and I play poker a lot. So like at the poker table or whatever, like very used to just getting like positive attention, not necessarily like people hitting on me, but whatever it was. And then I noticed once I was in treatment that stopped. And it was interesting because I noticed that more of it stopped than I expected, which means that a lot of the friendliness that I would get was actually due to being an attractive female, and not just because people were friendly, which I had previously just thought people were friendly. Not to say they're not, but like in these experiences, like more of it went away than I expected. It's so interesting that the value is inside of you, but I see it clearly and all the time, yet sometimes you can't see it. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think, for me sometimes, I think, and having that experience of sort of becoming invisible was like almost for me a preview of what I think women go through as they age, because we stop having value for our appearance at a certain age, from society's standpoint. And then the question is, okay, like, who am I and what do I like about myself? So having to find some of those things. Why would someone want to talk to me? What do I like about myself? What would they like about me? And where's my value? And I think to some extent, whether you have the experience of like having some attractiveness privilege or you don't, either way, you deal with how you interact with society based on your appearance. And I found that I gained so much perspective on how society interacted with my appearance once I already all of a sudden went from being a young 30-something attractive female to looking like a cancer patient. And that was really fascinating and a little bit scary to see how my appearance affected the way people responded to me and perceived me and received me in public. But it really, for me, was this journey of looking at, okay, well, why would someone be interested in talking to me? If it's not because I'm attractive, then where is that value? Like, what is it? So it's kind of mind-blowing experience for me. And then another thing that I found really valuable was community. Especially when we are going through challenges, I think community really matters. For me, that was a support group, and also, you know, allowing friends and family to support me. Interesting that you got that changed perspective. Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. And I think it was a little bit of a wake up call for me that that I had been almost kind of relying on that in a way that I won't be able to forever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna age, and I am aging now, but like, as I mean, I've always been aging since I was born. But you know, to have this kind of preview of, I'm gonna age out of the attractive female demographic, and that's going to be a mind fuck for my identity, was very interesting. So yeah, community matters, I think was really one of the big takeaways that I had, was that community is so important, and that's one of the things that I would, you know, as a recommendation, a lesson going through something difficult that I would give to anyone, is find community. You know, find people who can relate to what you're going through, find people who can laugh with you at the hard things that are coming up, but find a way to find humor in them, you know, which can go a long way for getting through anything, you know, right? But to get that view that most of us won't have immediately, but experience it over time through aging. Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really wild. That's a really good point. It was really wild. To all of a sudden look like somebody different than I was used to looking like, was definitely social study for me, for sure. Not to say that I went out that much, because also, you know, between the treatment, not feeling well, but also just, you know, that stigma of looking like a cancer patient maybe like even kept me from wanting to go out and, you know, do things because you feel like you're going to be looked at, you know. But yeah, and the last lesson that I wanted to mention before I jump off is just the reminder that sometimes the only way out is through. You know, the quote, when you're going through hell, keep going, is very appropriate, I think, for experiences like this, where we are going through something hard and we can't change that fact, right? But to remember that if we keep going, we will get to the other side. And that's having hope, right? Knowing that when you're going through hell, keep going doesn't mean keep going because it's going to keep being hell. It means keep going because there's another side and you'll get there, you know? So with that, we will call it a day today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you thought, what landed for you, what resonated. If there's any lessons that I missed that you think I should have mentioned, let me know. I have one-on-one spot right now for private coaching. So feel free to reach out on Instagram or on Facebook if you are interested in learning more about that. And we will chat. So thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button on your way out, and I'll see you